Good morning or afternoon or evening, everybody, wherever you're happening to join us from the world. My name is Kari, and I'm a coach here at Major League Hacking. And today we'll be going over developing an accessible application in SwiftUI. So if you were at the earlier stream that that Ellie just presented, they did an amazing job. She did an amazing job of talking about how to develop accessible designs using Figma specifically. And the goal of this stream is to figure out how we can develop accessible products, taking designs into development tools and making sure that we are keeping accessibility at the forefront of every design that we create. And then hence every application that we actually develop. So what we're going to do for this stream is talk a little bit about how to take a design and turn it into development tools, how to familiarize yourself with some of the things you're going to need in order to develop accessible applications, how to familiarize yourself with various tools and resources, and also how to take a design into something that can be developed. And depending on how we're doing on time, we're going to go ahead and jump in and then talk a little bit more about actually developing the parts of this application. All right, so let's get started. I am actually going to share my screen for a bit, so you should be able to see my lovely face in addition to seeing my screen right here. Awesome. Yeah, so as you can see, I've got 3 different tabs open right here. The first one is the Global Hack Week Figma app that Ellie just designed. The second one is a wide variety of tools and resources that she left on-stream assets like books and colors, different background accents and palettes, including the hex codes, additional colors, and then websites and additional resources about specifically accessible design. The important part of this is we're actually going to be going and looking at our prototype here, and then we're going to be taking this prototype through different pages and through different processes in order to make this application. So first off, we have these beautiful colors here that we know we're going to be using for a variety of our tools. The large majority of our application uses either background or accent 1 with a little bit of accent 5. I'm seeing actually on a decent amount of locations. Looks like these buttons could also be made in accent 5. Our font is in accent 5. So that's a great resource for actually figuring these parts out. So first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to go ahead and make on this list, make a little list walking through a variety of things that we're going to develop. So the first thing is going to be general information. We know that our primary colors given development are, we can see here the background color, which is 0414154. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste that. Background. And then you can go ahead and also take accent 1. We'll go ahead and label those as, we'll go ahead and label those as accents. And then we also have our EA color here, which is our primary text color. Awesome. So that leads us through the primary colors for our development. And then what I'm also seeing here is that we have a workflow for the application. So we have a landing page, which transfers you to the home page, which transfers you to, and then the home page looks like it just has different options. So it has, you have one where it's like you're not currently reading any books at the moment, and then you have add a book, and then you have a different home. Add a book will also go ahead and return you to home. And then we also have from the home page, you can actually also redirect to, let's see here, the archive. The archive has all of the books that you've completed as well as books in your library. So it looks like here we have a homepage, an archive, a search, and potentially a favorites. So let's figure this out. So for the tab bar, we have links to home, archive, search, and favorites. And then we have, let's go ahead and talk about our landing page first. So landing page actually links to some form of user authentication. Then we're going to actually do this. Then we do successful authentication. This is going to link us to a homepage, which will allow us to add a book, which will allow us to go back to the homepage. And the homepage lets us to click an archive, and we have links to home, archive, search, and favorites. So let's talk about sort of trying to figure out what we should use to develop this, right? So I've kind of placed a constraint on us within this stream specifically for utilizing SwiftUI, just because it's something that I'm very familiar with, and it's a great way to take written designs out pretty quickly into tangible applications. So already, if I'm, kind of figured out that I have a landing page and I need authentication. So let's start there. We're going to start with our landing page. Our landing page requires a couple of things to be developed. It requires an image. It's our logo, which is a variety of books. If we're developing this application for all intents and purposes, this logo needs to be high resolution, transparent, and easily accessible. Great. Then we also have, in addition to that, we have some text that we need to develop that says, read at your own pace. And that is, we have a given font that we can actually pull from the design. And then we also have some design elements in the form of these two paler lines that you can see here. And if we take a look at the landing page, actually, we can see that these are designed as a vector, and we have some information about them specifically. And then we also have our lock, which, like Ellie says here, transfers to authentication. Now, if I'm developing an application like this from scratch as a brand new developer or as a developer, working with a larger team, this is normally we'll be talking about cost, benefits, trade-offs, what specific technologies we should be using, et cetera, et cetera. But I think for this, we can figure out, we can kind of talk through that process here. So there's a wide variety of different technologies that can be used. We can have, for example, create our own SQL or NoSQL database in which we send users and then we authenticate users with emails and passwords. We can use sign-in with Apple. We can use sign-in with Google. We can use sign-in with Microsoft. We can use MongoDB and connect that to user storage. We can use Google's Firebase. We can use Apple CloudKit. So there's a wide variety of tools specifically that we can use to develop this portion. So let's say that we decide to use Google Firebase. That allows us to sign in with Google. So that way, when we click on that button, what happens is that the user is redirected to sign in with Google. And then whether the authentication is successful or not. And that now takes us to our home page, which means that if we go and have completed successful authentication, we get to go to our home page. So you can go ahead and head to our home page right here. And our home page has a variety of things. The first one is it has a little user icon in the top right. And within SwiftUI specifically, that's usually called your toolbar. So we'll use terms here. So we have a user icon in our top right. We also have on the top here a variety of text. So here we actually have currently reading. And then we have today's date. And so currently reading is a title, and today's date is a subtitle. Great. Then we have a user icon in the top right within our toolbar section, and then we have a little divider. Then from there, we have a view that looks slightly complicated, actually. So we're going to go ahead and revisit this one, and we're going to figure out how to build out this section first. So this is going to be a tab view with 4 different tabs. Home, archive, search, and favorites. And home is going to be the tab right here, followed by archive, followed by search, followed by favorites. And then we also have, now we get to come back to this fun section that simply has a little dash box that says you currently do not have any books that you're reading at the moment. So that means that we have list of books being read. And within that list, we have covers of books. And then we can take a look at this one for context. The date started, cover of book, and then we have a date started, and then you have had this book in your library for blank. And that we can find. Now, how can we find this? We can find this by subtracting date started from date.now. And then there's the other case, which is if 0 books are being read, show a box that says you currently do not have any books that you're reading at the moment, which includes a button. This button is going to be a button. It's going to present a sheet of adding book. Great. That lays out this view right here specifically. And then otherwise, we also have, let's see here. We also have F0 books, which includes a button. Have this book in your library for blank days. And then we also have in next space for a book, add button. Great. And then we also have right here our reading archive, which is the other screen that we'll get to develop. This has very similar layout. So we can go ahead and see how far we get in the development process and then go ahead and figure out where to go from there. But ideally, what we'll do is we will be able to work through a decent amount of this application and actually get developing. So let's go ahead and get started with the development process. So I am really quickly actually going to present my screen. It's going to be, let's go ahead and let me share my screen. It's going to be this screen right here. Awesome. Oh, never mind. Let's see, entire screen, share. Awesome. There we go. So what we're doing right now is we're simply going to file, new project, and then we are able to go ahead and create a new application. And we're going to just name it, let's see, we'll do the same naming scheme. Approximately, we won't add a team. We'll just use this identification bundle, and we won't need core data. So we'll have SwiftUI and Swift there. Great. We can go ahead and save this right in here and create our application. Awesome. Yeah. Now what we'll actually get to do is we'll get to go ahead and develop the code here specifically. We can go ahead and share. Let me share this really quickly. There we go. Awesome. So as you can see, I've just started a SwiftUI application here. And this includes the default for a SwiftUI application, which is simply when you load into this content view, you get a little hello world with a little globe. So there you go. That's how to pretty much get started on a UI application. And what we can do now is we can go ahead and begin developing from a design. So let's go ahead and get started by developing, maybe let's start with a background. Let's see if we can do something like background.red. See if that gets us started. Cannot find background in scope. Background style, maybe? Yes, yes, yes. Okay, let's see. Let's change the background color in SwiftUI. So we'll go ahead and be able to just complete. Oh, we can just do. I see it. Okay, we can do color.red to change the background color. As you can see that this white blob here that it leaves out is called the safe area. So if we want to not have our background color actually cover the entire background, we're going to call ignores safe area on it. And that ideally, I know what I need to do first. Change this into a horizontal stack, into a 3D stack. We can talk about why in a second, but first, let me get this to run really quickly. Hello? Let's see. Why are you not ignoring the safe area? My dear color view. That should work. Oh, the padding modifier. That's what it is. There you go. So yeah, that's how you create a background color. Now, actually, we just don't we don't want to just use like this boring color. So we're actually going to get a color space, which pulls in a red and a green and a blue. So we're going to go into these colors and we get to pull in their red, green, and blue. And it's 165 and 84. That's just on, I'm just looking at the Figma right now. So let's see here. We'll change this to 165, 84. That is not a dark blue. Nowhere near it. What is going on there? Let's see. There, it's initializing files. We can do color dot, let's see, initialize opacity color. That should be fine. Color dot, let's see if like green works. Don't see why it wouldn't. Yeah. Does blue work? Yep, works perfectly fine, but those are obnoxious, and I want to use one of our nice colors. Not hue, saturation, brightness. I like to use UI color, CG color. Let's see. Oh, I know why this is. This takes in double values and not whole number values. So I need to divide all the numbers by 255. 1 divided by 255 is 0.0039. We'll round up to 3 actual decimal places, and then 64 over 255 is 0.251. And then blue, which is I think 85. Remember, double check that super quickly, is going to be it's 165 and 84, not 164 and 85. So I'm going to just change those numbers real quick. 4 is 0.329, and then 65 is going to be 0.254. And then there you go. Look at that. That's our color from our design right there. So as you can see, that kind of gets us started on like a very basic layout of our design. And then we get to do the development of this part. So you get to create a VStack here. And a VStack, Z-stacks are 3-dimensional stacks, so they allow you to stack elements on top of each other. It's what you commonly use in SwiftUI to, say, put one thing on top of the other. In terms of like background colors, or if you want to layer like a square over something, or like layer a nice border, that's one way to do it. Then we initialize a background color, and VStack just stands for vertical stack, which means all of the elements that we put into this stack are going to follow a specific layout, and they're actually going to be right on top of each other. So we get to now add a text, and that text is going to say, read at your own pace. As you can see, by default, this text is not very clear. Actually, it's not clear at all because it's, well, the default text, and that means it's the plain black and the plain tiny Apple font, which, you know, has its benefits and its drawbacks, but for the purposes of this exercise is not exactly great. So let me go ahead and really quickly, I have the Figma pulled up on the other side here just so I can take a look at it while I'm working, and we can see that this font specifically is RGBA 255, 255. This is our accent 5 color. So that is, we can do text.foreground color, and that's going to take in a color of type color. And so we can do color.init again, and then that will call a red, green, and blue color, which will do 234 divided by 255. which is 0.918. Then we'll do, what's the other color? 227. 227 is 0.890, and then blue is 218. So that is going to be 0.855. Perfect. There you go. There's our text in our ideal color, but we want to actually change this font. So right now the size of this font is about 23 pixels, or 23. So we can change this by, you can see there's a lot of different properties. We can change the font type. We can change the font weight, ignoring the safe area, design, width, italic, and so on and so forth. We're going to change the font weight to, actually, no, we're not going to change the font weight. We're going to change the size, ideally. So let's see if I can figure out just quickly how to set size of font in SwiftUI. And that is .font .system uses function create a system font. We want to use a custom font with a given name and size. Ideally, we'll want to use a custom font, but yes. So we'll do font.custom, and then here we're hoping to use this font right here. And then our size is not going to be a CG float. Our size is going to be an actual size, and that is going to be based on this design. Let's go with 22.5. And there you go. There's our text. Cannot convert value of type CG float, but you just compiled my view. Yeah, that's what I thought. There you go. So we have our read at your own pace. And just taking a look at this, I can already see that this is a bold font. So we can go ahead and change the font weight. We'll do that to bold. If it works, please. Command X. Let's see if going down will help it. Font weight bold. Let's see. So I think we should sync fixed size for this font specifically. And then trying to see if I can currently, if I do dash bold, that's what I intended to. Font custom. Yes, I would like to use, oh, why did it just delete that? Font custom. But I would like to see more custom options, or see, because for example, like right now, if I type in, like, say something like American typewriter, like a font that you can recognize, I'm going to actually show that font. But I think that this font is just the system font right now, unfortunately. It's just that we've changed the size so that it looks more readable, which leads me to believe that the font that Ellie used is not available on SwiftUI, which I would not be surprised, but that looks like the same thing. So let's see. Custom fonts available in SwiftUI. We'll need to add our licensed font to our app. So let's try to get a TPF file for this font. There we go, downloading a file. And that's just on FontsGeek right now. So I'm actually going to go ahead and paste that in the chat for anybody who's following along. If you want to go ahead and add this font yourself, it's a great way generally to go ahead and do that. Also, I just realized that I still have the work we'll be getting started to banner, and I've been had it going the entire time, which is kind of funny, but that's okay. All right, really quickly, let's unzip this font file. And we just have, you need to be a dot. Yeah. So that's our font right there. And then we have, let's see, this copies the font into your project. I want to add this. Great, there we go. And then we have here they're saying, and add it to the info.plist file. Signing capabilities, project. I don't think I have an info.plist here yet. Information property list. No, this is it. Never mind. I'm so silly. Okay, yeah, I would like to add a new in here, ideally, that's called fonts provided by application. And then ideally we can then copy this and go back into this portion that will hopefully let me edit itself. Fonts provided by application, item 0, and then this font right here. Let's see if that manages to compile our new font. There we go. We got a custom font. Awesome. So that's actually what our intended font meant to look like. And so I'm glad that it's working. And as you can see, we have our vertical stack and then our font here. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a button. And this button is going to have a title and an action. This title is going to be based off of Ellie's design. It's going to be get started. And then the action is going to be, let's see. The action we will figure out shortly. But as you can see right now, that's what the button looks like, right? You have that weird like white space and it's kind of yucky because there's not a ton of it and all that. Like that's not exactly ideal, right? So I'm going to make some more room for me here. But within this, we're going to want to modify some properties about this button. So let's figure out what Ellie did here, taking a look at the design to figure out some of these properties. So the button looks like 232 pixels wide and 46 pixels tall. So we can say dot frame size, and we can say width 232 and height 46. And then it looks like the button is probably that amount of space away from us right now, except that it also has a background color. So we can do within this dot background dot, let's try dot white for fun. You can see that's what that looks like a little bit. Let's see. Now, this button also has some rounded corners. So we can do background, and this button is a different color. So we'll actually get to do color.init, and then we'll get to create another red, green, and blue color. And then we'll also do .foreground color is going to be this color right here. And what you can actually do when you're working on the application to make some things easier is I can say, let accent color be this color. That way I don't have to reinitialize it every time. I can just say the foreground color is the accent color, and then the foreground color is also the accent color here. And then then I can do the same thing for this, and I could say let background color be equivalent to this portion. So I can just Command X that, and then go ahead and remove some of this tabbing, and then do background color here. But within this purpose, actually, we're also going to do let background color, let accent color, and then we'll do let button color. I also think the line, the vector is also a similar color to begin with, the design vector here. So let's see. I take a look at the landing. Actually, no, it's slightly different, but that's okay. We can still work with it. So we can go ahead and within this, let button color be color.init in that same way. And then we can go ahead and get the values for that. Red, green, and blue. So from Ellie's design, taking a look at it really quickly, we have 102, 102, and 123. So we can just do 102 and to close a few fonts. 102 divided by 255, that is 0.4. And then what's the other color? 123. That's actually a really nice I did not think that 102 would be so nicely divisible by 225. Let's do 123. 255, and that puts us at 0.24282. There we go. And then instead of calling color.init here, we can just do button color. Great. And that already puts us in pretty decent comparison to this design. Now that I'm seeing this button closer, I'll say we're going to want some padding on the top, just so that we have some space between our button. As you can see, you have to be really careful about when specific modifiers are called, because depending on when they're called, it affects what your application looks like. If we call it on the modifiers here, then it actually affects like the size of this entire space. But if we call it on the modifiers before we do the framing, then it actually shifts our text down slightly within that button frame. And that's not what we want within this application specifically. Actually, also going to increase that to about, let's try 15. Or actually, I think 20 was closest to what Ellie actually had on the design. Great. So that's read at your own pace and then get started. And right now, this button does nothing. So we can do, you can print, yay. And then when you press the button, and open up your console, it's going to print, yay. But yeah, let's go ahead and then work on the image. So I'm actually going to download the image that Ellie has on this specific design. So I just have that downloaded really quickly, and I have that imported. I'm going to go ahead and rename it to logo.png. And we can go ahead and then the next thing we're going to do is actually going to include it in our VStack. And then it's going to call for a link, and we're going to call it logo. But then it's not going to do anything, well, because we don't have a logo in here yet. So we'll do logo.png. Then we can go ahead and do is we can go into this assets folder right here in SwiftUI, and then we can drag and drop our logo right in. And then when you go back to our app, content view, apparently it's not going to show our image. That's unfortunate. Let's see why it's not. Oh, it's just logo. Oops. So if I go back now and do logo instead of logo.png, it's going to work. I have a feeling it's going to work, except the computer is being slow. There you go. Awesome. As you can see, though, like right now, this is slightly off center, just because of the spacing between this book. So I'm actually going to remove some of this padding on the top. Call it padding top -10. That brings us much closer to the initial design vision. Let's figure out how much, like this one's kind of overlapping a bit. Let's do -15 for that. There we go. And then read at your own pace. And then let's figure out how to get how to add a vector to SwiftUI view. These are specifically vector images. We have some different shapes. Like we can draw circles specifically. Let me see if I can do. Alternatively, what like we could do when actually designing this is download a version of the background that already contains this vector image, this vector line here, and so then when we actually go through and design it, we can work on getting these parts done. But yeah, we have gotten started for this button. And now what we're going to do is we're actually going to work on developing our home view. So first thing we're going to need is we're actually going to need a new file. And this is also going to need to be a SwiftUI view file, and we'll call it home view. And we can create that directly in our application. And once we create that, it is going to take us directly to this blank hello world screen. So now what I want to do is when the button is pressed, I want to do a navigation link to home screen, home view specifically. Let's see. Requires that home view. Oh, oops, I see it. Home, and then I do home view. Right? It needs to be labeled. There you go. Well, luckily, the warnings are pretty good at telling you what to do. Result is unused. That's not true. Let's see if we can do, instead of the button, in the navigation link like that. And then that does that. Instead of home, it says get started. There we go. And go ahead and do these. Why is it still saying it's unused? Yeah, I didn't think so. There we go. So now we try and preview this, and we click on this content on this button. Oh, do I need? Oh, I need one of the navigation views, don't I? Oh, that's frustrating. Hold on. I think I have to put it at the very top. I was like, I don't want it to get rid of our beautiful background. Navigation view. There we go. And now we can click on that, and we have a working navigation. So what we can do here is go ahead and go into the home view really quickly. So now we're in our home view, and this is where we'll work on developing our homepage. So there's a couple of things that we're going to need. The first thing is that we're still going to need the background color. So normally if I was, designing this for like a full term, like long-term project, one of the things that we do is we'd actually go ahead and say, okay, I'm going to like put all of our colors in a separate file so they can be called from all different locations. But for the purpose of this, I'm just going to go ahead and copy our background color. And to get started, we're going to add our Z three-dimensional stack. And within that stack, we're going to say background color. And with that, we're going to say dot ignore safe area. There you go. We have our background color already into our application within our home screen. Then the other thing we are going to need is we're actually going to need a tab view. Tab views in Swift are a way to switch between different views. So we're actually going to create within here a tab view. Actually, I think it's going to be on the very top. We're going to create a tab view. This tab view is going to have a couple of different things in it. The first thing is that it is going to have our home view. Let's do home primary view. And we'll do that within that section. And then I'll just go ahead and create really quickly a Command C, Command V, and create a home primary. And then delete all this real quickly, except it will want me to keep something. So I'll just keep text that says hello world. There we go. All right, that's our home primary view. Get to delete this. I'm just going to Control I really quickly because I hate when indentation's off. We have a tab view that's home primary view, and it's going to be going to have the tab item. And then within that, once we press enter, you can actually see that it's going to have a label that is going to say home, and then a system image that's going to look like, let's see what the one Ellie picks out looks like. It's a book with a finger. Let's see if we can get, I'm just going to do Control Shift L or Command Shift L to pull up the SF symbol library in SwiftUI. And that allows for me to see a wide variety of different symbols. So Control Shift, not that, Control Shift L. There we go. See book. We have a couple of different book symbols we'll definitely be using. We'll be using the bookmark symbol for sure. We can use the, potentially, we'll use the books vertical for this one. So why don't we use the book circle? So we'll have the book fill. Let's see here. What do these ones look like? These are, okay. I say then we do the, really quickly. I bring back that up. I think we did book. We'll do system image book. And there you go. There's a little homepage. And we actually get to modify the color of this. And then first thing that we're going to do, we're going to say that the home primary view just displays some text that's hello world. We're actually going to first say that it has a Z stack. Z stack is a background color, and the background color ignores safe area. There you go. And as you can see here, based off of Ellie's design, we actually do need to make the tab bar slightly lighter, and we also need to change the color of our views, and we also need to change, these actually don't need labels. So let's see. Modify tab bar properties. So we'll do SwiftUI. just taking a look here, adding tab views and tab items. We have these. I would love to see how to change colors. That is true. Yeah, image. Oh, I could just say image system name book instead of using the label if we're not going to have any text. I think I should be able to. Oh, it's system name, not system image. Oops. Yep, there we go. Have a little book. Okay, and then it's saying the tab view. I can then say, if I do dot accent color red, but I don't want to do that. I want to do accent color. And we'll actually use our accent, appropriately named accent color, which we'll pull from our content view really quickly. And we can go ahead and let accent color do that. And we'll do accent color is an accent color. There you go. We have a white little book. And then we can say that we don't have a built-in modifier for changing the tab bar's color, but we can use the on appear property really quickly. So we'll say on appear, we'll do a couple of things. We'll just say UI tab bar dot appearance dot bar tint color is going to be equal to color dot init. Actually, I think it's the button color from last time. So we just get to use that again too. See, like this is what is important when you're developing apps from designs, is that a lot of things are maintained consistent. Oh, I have to change it to be a UI color. And there we go. Now if our screen loads, ideally our button should be let's see if I get rid of our Z stack and I just do, or instead of our background color, ignoring our safe area. Okay. That's interesting. That's saying tab.bar tint color should just be a button color, but it might need to be a UI color. Yep, that's what we just did. That needs to be a UI color. And then that's still not looking the way that it should be. Let's see if we can get it to run on a simulator and see if that fixes things. Launching my app on the simulator. Yeah, no, it's still white. That's frustrating. We'll come back to that. For now, actually, let's see if we can do, maybe instead of accent color, we'll do the dot on appear first. We'll do the on appear after that. Or it might just need to be in a different location. Let's see. There it is. On appear. I think it actually is right over here. Nope. How about underneath the view? That's the tab views property. There's two braces here. Oh, I think, let's see if this works. Unfortunately not. Let's see if, like, dot red works, like something bright. It doesn't. Okay, so then we can do, maybe we can do, we can worry about that later. So we'll just leave this for now. We have an accent color that allows us to have a variety of different views, and then we want to have different views as well. So within here, we have the views that Ellie worked on are the home views, which is within the home primary view, and then the archive view, which I'll just call archive primary view. And then we also want to have, Ellie didn't build out these screens, but we want the tab item to be programmatically accurate to the design. So we'll use two other views, which we can call search primary view, and then favorites primary view. And these are going to be structs that we're going to create within this project. And other than that, we can just say, okay, home previews. That is going to be the home primary view. That is going to be the archive primary view. And then that is going to be the search primary view. Finally, that is going to be the favorites primary view. And pretty soon you'll see that at the bottom here, we're going to have 4 different tabs once it loads, but they're all going to have the same book because we just copied that over. So once again, I'm going to open up Command-Shift-L and do the library, and I'm going to look for other book symbols that I want to use. Now I want to use book.vertical.fill for the archive library view because I think that one is very similar to what Ellie's design had, except I don't know if I spelled it right. Shift-L. Books.vertical.fill. There you go. And then our search primary tab is going to have a tab item, and that's going to have a system image of, I know that one's called magnifying glass because I've just used it for a class project that I'm working on. And then the last one is, I know that we found that, that one within the, because that one's favorites, or it's bookmark. And it's going to be the bookmark fill. And then there you go. You have our working buttons right there. So what you can try now, or what I could show off really quickly, is that when you click on the different tabs, well, nothing happens. But if I were to do, say, go over to this view and say, add some text that follows our initial design process. So let's say add a VStack within all of these views, and this one says, you know, text read. This one is going to say archive view. And then you can see what it is complaining about. It's saying accent color. What? Oh, was it because of, oh, it's because the accent colors are up all the way up here. I'm just going to make them local global variables because I can. I think. Can I? No, I can't. That's unfortunate. Okay. In that case, I'm just going to copy these into this accent color right here. Copy these into all 4 of these because we're going to need them later. But yeah, now when you click on archive view, it's actually going to show you that it's the archive view. When you click on it, it's going to have the text in the middle. They'll say it's archive view. There you go. So now we can actually do this for the other views that we've made. So we can do, within this, we'll do the home view, or we'll follow the design. So we'll do the currently reading up here, and we'll move that to the top in just a second. Then we do, within the second view, we have, what's this one called? The reading archive. And then we'll do, and this one, we don't actually have a design for this part with Ellie, so we can just go ahead and do, say, search. And then we'll go ahead and do, for the other ones, we'll do my favorites. There you go. So now when you click on the views, it'll actually show you, link you through currently reading, reading archives, search, and my favorites. And all of those. So that's awesome. Let's see if I get the, just changes that color. I think because the background color goes on after the tab styling, that's why that part wasn't working. So let's see if that fixes it. If I can find it again. Which hopefully I can. Yeah. Okay. Dot on appear. And then UI tab bar dot appearance dot our tint color is dot button color, or it should just be button color, and then that as a UI color. Convert that specific type. That didn't work, sadly, converting it to the color, which I'm honestly really surprised that's not working, because I've never had issues with it, unless I'm supposed to have both of these properties outside of the tab view, but I don't think I am. Because no, a tab view has the accent color set that way. So not sure how to get the tab to change the color. But that is okay. So now what we can do within this other part is we're actually going to work on, we're actually going to work on developing one of these screens out with fully working features. So we'll go ahead and add back in .ignore save area just so it's consistent across the different views. And then we can take a look at currently, let's take a look at currently reading. So within currently reading, that's our home primary view, we have a couple of different things. First thing we're going to do is actually going to add some spacer. We're going to add a big spacer. What the spacer does is it actually just pushes this text right to the very top. But I am going to add some padding on the top of just about 5 or so pixels, just so it's not like immediately in your face. And then also what you can see within Ellie's design, or what you saw within Ellie's design when we were working on this earlier, is that you can actually change what appears within, oh my gosh, sorry. Words are hard. We're actually going to work on we're actually going to work on a couple things. The first thing we're going to work on is we're going to get the date displaying right here. So it's going to be as of, and then we're going to actually extrapolate date.now. And then we can actually format it. We can do let's do abbreviated. I think that works. And then time is, I usually do omitted. March 7, 2023. Perfect. Yeah. Awesome. So this allows us to do that second part that Ellie did, which is right there. But as you can see, that text needs to be bigger. So we can go ahead and change that font size. It's about a 12-point font on the design, so I'll keep it a 12-point font here. Yeah, currently reading as of March 7th, 2023. And that's within a vertical stack. Now what we're actually also going to do is going to wrap the entire class in a vertical stack. And you're like, why do you need two vertical stacks? Well, because I'm about to wrap this section in a horizontal stack so I can add in the profile picture. So I can do image, name, we'll do the logo, image, and then we can go ahead and add some properties to it. So this image is honestly really small. It's .fix. We'll do .frame, and you'll find out that it's width 40 and height 40. So that's, let's see. So we'll set it to frame width 40, height 40. We also have to change it to .resizable so that we can place it up there. And then let's see, that's within the V stack. And then I want to do this so that it's up there. We have .resizable, and then we do dot. Let's see. What are some properties? Frames. You can do, let's try width 40. See what happens. Just shrunk it that way. What if I do height 40? It's going to shrink it that way, but still not going to push it up. So let's do dot padding dot bottom 600. See where that takes us. Up there. Got it. What if I do like 7? Go. Now we're getting somewhere, and then we can also do something like padding on dot left, not 700, or not dot leading, not dot left. We do something like 20. You can see we still want the text to be centered within this screen. We just want this view to be more on the right-hand side. So actually it might be beneficial to take this out of the H stack. But then it's going to be in the vertical stack. So that's not going to achieve the exact effect we want either. Let's figure out let's maybe before that add in like a divider, a little rectangular divider. And we can just do, with that, we'll just do rectangle. And let's figure out how big this thing is. How big are you? You are 4 pixels. Got it. And 220 pixels wide. So we'll do dot fill. That's going to be dot button. Oh, it's going to be button color, which I don't have yet in this view. Let me grab it. Here's button color. Yeah, so button color, and then we actually want to do dot frame is going to be width 200, not 200. Width is going to be, actually, it's 220, and then height is 4. There we go. And then we can just do some padding on the bottom, just about 3 pixels. I think I might need to add in the padding after the fill. Oh, it should be dot top too. Oh, I think that just shrunk it. Add it in after this. Will that do what I want it to do? Perfect. We'll do like 8. There you go. So that's for recreating that part of the design. We have, I think, honestly, pretty good progress for this part. So we've got our little currently reading tab, our little currently reading modifier up here, and then a little circle that we can add over there for our user. The date is all pulled in correctly. So now we're actually going to work on most likely building out that image view or the books selection. So here we'll be adding books. There you go. So we'll be adding books for the user, and then we can actually go ahead and see what we want to focus on. Let me think. I'm trying to figure out whether it's more beneficial for us to focus on the individual profile or the book view. And I think I want to go with the book view. So let's go ahead and think through some of the structure that we're going to need for actually making this book view. And I think the most important part here is that we have, we're actually going to need a structure to represent our books. So we're going to have a struct called book. And a book is going to consist of a couple of things. It's going to have a title, which is going to be a string. It's going to have a date started modifier, which is going to be a date. It is going to have a var cover, which is going to be an image. And I think that is everything that a book needs for now, because it has the image, it has the title, just so we can look through that list. And then actually, there are a couple of things that we can add. We can add in a var currently reading, which is a Boolean. And then we can add in maybe a var date completed, which is also a date object. Maybe it could be an optional object. We'll figure out how to do that. Or maybe we could just save it as the current date if the book is not done. So yeah, that leads us through like what we need to create a book. And so now what we can also do is within our home primary view, we can say, let books be an array of book objects, empty array of book objects. And that's just telling you, hey, I'm going to be making some books. So within that, what we can do is within our, like within this home view, we can add in, let's add some test books here. So this means is that we'll create a book. So we'll say books.append. We'll append a new element. So if we press, how does it not autofill? That usually do well at that. It creates a book with title, date started, date cover, image, currently reading, and date completed. So we'll say we have a book. It's following Ellie's idea. We have Dune, which we started on, let's see, to date dot we can just see if there's a, like, how do I get the, how to set date as date object, SwiftUI. Let's see, how do you create a Swift date object? I can do some difference between the reference date. There is really no good way to do this, huh? Like, it looks like the best format that they have is if I do something like let a date formatter be created up here, and then that's just year, month, date, which is fine. I mean, I can do what do you mean consecutive? There's not much consecutive about this, unless I'm missing something. Let's see. Yeah, that's just being frustrating. Oh, well, let me actually set the date formatter within the start of the struct here. So let's see. We have, you know what? I can just do date for now for the purposes of this exercise. And then cover, we can do logo for now. Do an image of logo, and then we'll currently reading set to true. And then we'll do date completed. We'll do also date.now. Okay. What do you mean invalid redeclaration of books? What does that even mean? No, books. Okay. Let's see. Book. Let's do let book one equal this. I'll be shocked if that doesn't work. Yeah, there you go. Okay. And then we can do like let book two be let the title be like, let's see. Do the Great Gatsby. And then apparently there's a way that you could set dates to be like based on how much time has passed since the January 1st, 2001 at midnight, which is kind of funny. So maybe I could do date at time interval since, time interval since now. And I can do the number of seconds. So let's pick, I don't know, what is like seconds in 3 months. How many seconds are in 3 months? That many. Sure. You know what? Let's do 1 month. Second in a month. How many? Oh, that's not much helpful. So let's do a week. Okay. There's that many seconds in a week. So you've been reading that book you just finished that book not today. You finished that book about 2 days ago. When you finished the book 2 days ago. So you can do something like that. And now what we can say is, books Oh, it's because I made it a var, not a let. Oh my gosh, that's gonna fix it, right? Books.append book1 and books.append.book2 is gonna fix everything. I sometimes love development. That's so fun. Oh, actually, it didn't. Okay, well, now I feel less silly and more silly at the same time. We'll just say we have book 1 and book 2 within this structure. And so we can have an array of books. And then for actually developing this, we will do something like for book in books. And you can go ahead and do a variety of things within this part. So you can say if book or what you can do is do something like even like if books.size or books.count is 0, then here we'll want to display there are no books plus button. Otherwise, want to do the for book in books. And that allows us to do a couple of things. Closure control containing control flow statement cannot be used with the result view builder. Interesting. Okay. Interesting. Let's see if I can get the preview to load. Still can't. Is it still the same error? This error? If I get rid of that, does that work? No exec matches and call to initializer. Var books is, let's see, create an array. On SwiftUI, let's see. Just be able to add in book 1 and book 2 like this. So I don't know what is. Oh, it's saying it's running before self is available. So I think I have to do it in here. Yeah. There you go. So now we have some books, one book that we've read and one book that we finished reading. So then we can do something like for book in books, ideally, fingers crossed. Now that books is actually still not. Why? Closure containing control flow statement cannot be used with result builder. I don't understand what that means. Closure containing control flow statements. Let's see. We have I'm sure it's a silly syntax mistake that I've made. So it's for each. Oh yeah, this I've been writing too much other code in other languages. That's not how you do for each loops in Swift. It's for each book's book. And then we can do text, book.title. I can make book identifiable just for you. It's gonna have need an ID. All right, let's see if this works. There they are, 2 books. Amazing. So now we can do a couple of other things with this. First of all, this happens after the spacer, which is kind of ugly. So we're going to get rid of the spacer here really quickly. We're actually going to move it all the way to the bottom because we're going to be adding, these books all the way down here. Right out of this VStack is when I want the spacer, right before this VStack is about to leave. It's like right here. There we go. Awesome. So now we have, if it's books.count is 0, but in reality, it's more complicated because we only want to display books that are conform to specific properties, right? And so if there's books that we are not currently reading, but they count, then we don't want to display that. So we'll worry about this later, but within this part, we have for each book in, we can do an if statement, and we'll say if book dot, what's the property called? Currently reading, right? If we're currently reading this book, then I want to see its title. And that's how we just see dude instead of just seeing that section. So now we can do something like image, and we can do, just for the test, we can do logo again. We can actually download Ellie's book covers. Yeah, I'm going to go through that really quickly. I'm going to download Ellie's book covers. So let's go ahead and really quickly get this cover of Dune. If I can even grab it. There we go. All right, let's rename this bad boy. It's to image 1. We're going to rename it to Dune. And then we can go ahead and pop Dune right in here, drag and drop. And then we can do, for example, like when we're dragging and dropping the images, you would probably, like, if you were developing this like more complicated, you'd use something like the books. You'd actually use the, let me rename this really quickly just because I made the image uppercase. So, but you'd actually use like a book API likely and pull the covers from there specifically. But let's go into the home view really quickly. Yeah, so there you go. We have our book here. So we can do image book.title, and then we can say, started. And then we can do maybe something like a little H stack within this. So we'd probably actually do this within a V stack. So you'd want these 2 elements to be together. And then you do an H stack within this. We'll do something like, you could add in a little rectangle like we did above. So that's like rectangle. Let's see, how big is this one? Seems pretty small. Yeah, like 40 by 4 pixels. So we'll do something like width 4, height 40. And then we have, rectangle. And then the padding, we don't need any padding for this one. Instead of button color, it looks like this is actually a lighter color. There's a 160, 197, 205, which I think we used earlier, right? Is this 160, 197, 205? No, this is still darker. You know what? We could do something like for the purposes of the tutorial, we'll just change this to accent color, right? And then you can do something like, actually, do I have the, I can just get the RVGA for this really quickly. 165 by 255 is 0.627. So we'll just do really quick color in it. Right down here, 0.627. And then the green looks like it's 197 by 255, 0.772. And then we need less green in this, or actually more green. No, less. I'm tired. 0.803. Should get us this nice light blue that we want. Perfect. Awesome. Yeah, so that's our light blue. And then we can go ahead and within this also add in text that says, you know, started. And then we'll do something like the extrapolation of the variable, and we'll do book.date started. You'll see started Tuesday, March 7th at whatever Central Standard Time. And we're actually going to do dot frame dot width. We're going to change the width to be, how wide is this book? Out of curiosity, 150. So yeah, you're seeing that it's obviously doing the weird formatting thing, which I don't like. So we'll do the, let's figure out where I displayed dates earlier. Oh, up in this part. Currently reading, and then as of date now dot formatted. Formatted dot abbreviated, and then will just be dot omitted. And then we can look here. It says started March 7th, 2020, March 7th, 2023, which is true. We just want to change a couple of things about this. Obviously, we want to change the font specifically. So that says, so that is, you know, for font, we're doing the foreground color as the accent color. We're doing the dot font dot custom, and then the fixed size, which is actually going to be something closer to 10 rather than 12. Actually, not 110, 10. Yeah. This doesn't look as bold, but it's okay. And then we can do another section that also has something like, we can do something like a backspace N, and then it says, you know, you have had this book in your library for days. And right now it's just going to have nothing in there. So we'll have to do something like book dot date completed minus book dot date started. Can you even do that? How do you, yeah, convert, find time between two dates, SwiftUI. Yeah, we've had this book for 000 days, which I guess is true. So let's just convert that to an integer for fun. I've had this book in my library for 0 days. There you go. If I say change the Dune object to, instead of it being like, I checked this book out on March 7th. Where did I put the object? The book. Date started. Yeah, let's say I started it last week. Or let's say I started it like the moment I finished Great Gatsby, like the exact same second, which is kind of funny, but it gets the point across. Yeah, I've had this book for, let's say, 172, 8,000 days. Oh, are these like in days now? So if I do minus 8 and then minus like 12, and then I do like, so funny. So I do minus 5. Is it going to say you've had this book in your library for 5 days? Yeah. Okay. So I guess the date time interval since now is actually in days, not in seconds. So that article lied to me, which is kind of funny, but it kind of happens. But that is a-okay. Yeah, I know my book is not editable yet, but there you go. There's a little book. And we have, the specific location of this. If we say had more than 2 books within this list, so say change something to like, say if I did Great Gatsby is actually not, it is being currently read, then it's going to put it directly below right now. Except it's going to cause something funky to happen. Somebody just saw that. So, because there's no book. Yeah, that makes sense. Also, it's I messed up these dates, so it's actually -4. It's saying, yeah, I've had this book in my library for -4 days, which is great. But that is a-okay. So let's see. And then we can do something like, I have dates started, and then if I were to get the image of the Great Gatsby from the Figma really quickly, can download this, export, upload this into assets really quick. That's not gonna go well, so I'll just do it like that. Do this right here, assets, and then do this, the exact name of the book. That's exactly what I need this to be named for this to work for now. And that gets to be, get to change this to, I get to rename this to be this. And then it means that when you go into the content, the home view, you can see the Great Gatsby right there. Yeah, awesome. So for fixing it up for the future, you would obviously, some of the things that you need to do, since we're almost out of time. Some of the things that, what are things that you would fix in terms of this app? Ideally, of course, be pulling covers. So, pull images directly from a book API. That way you can also pull titles from those APIs as well, and then you can automatically fill in date completed like that. So you'd probably want to use some database for the specific user. You'd want to have a functional login instead of just like, hey, no matter what happens, I get to click this button. Amazing. Wow. Beautiful. And then what other things can we do here? We can, for revising this for the future, we can figure out how to get the tabs to show in the right color, which is fun. We can figure out how to get the layout to be correct on this screen. We can make sure that the covers are all the same sizes, which is consistent and great. And then we can also build out the reading archive, which is going to be very similar to the currently reading screen. We can add an option, a way to add books on the currently reading screen. We can do a search. We can do my favorites. And yeah, that is what you can do for next steps, which is super fun. We are almost out of time. So because we started pretty much on time and I've been going this entire time, and we are at a really good stopping point, I'm going to go ahead and call it a day here. Thank you all for tuning in to this live stream. Really appreciate it. It was fun to hang out with y'all. I hope you learned something from both Ellie's and my streams about developing and then designing and then developing, kind of laying out, structuring accessible applications, why it's important to have good relationships between developers and designers, what happens when you're working on a feature that doesn't seem to be possible in development, how to communicate with your designers, but also how to make sure that you are actually doing your due diligence and working on getting the features done, even though to you as a developer it might seem less convenient, because the designers are very, very good at their job. They know exactly what they're doing in terms of designing great applications. Also, I hope it was, if have never seen SwiftUI before, you wanted to, and you enjoyed kind of watching along and following along, then that's great. If you've seen SwiftUI before, let me know if anything new that you've learned today, or in general anything new that you've learned today. That would be really helpful. But yeah, thank you for joining. I really appreciate it, and I will see y'all at one of my other live streams coming up later in Global Hack Week. So have a nice rest of your day, everyone.